All right, well, welcome everyone. It is absolutely wonderful to have all of you here. We almost have the entire congregation, and this is our first event in our brand new built out space. We built this out during COVID, so it is wonderful that you're all here to inaugurate this great event. 9 years ago, I received a call from someone who said he was a new rabbi in town. And he said he's got this great idea. He's going to do monthly lunch and learns on Jewish topics. Downtown, he's going to bring a big kosher lunch, and it's going to be very successful. And I said to him, I don't think that's going to work. We had tried it once before with another rabbi, another congregation, wasn't here, fizzled out a couple times after a couple events, and we probably shouldn't go. He said, no, have faith. And 9 years later, here we are. Tremendous success. We started doing that thing. Started expanding to both Mandarin and downtown. We were doing them twice a month. Huge turnouts, but probably what was even more important is the number of people, including all of us in this room, who Rabbi has inspired and touched through Lunch and Learn process. Some of us, like myself, it was the beginning of a spiritual journey where, actually got in touch with my Judaism, and many of us are in the same room, and all because of Rabbi's incredible, inspiring efforts. So I want to thank all of you in this room who have been supporters over these 9 years, who have attended, who have hosted, who have sponsored. It's really been an incredible success. And of course, I want to thank Rabbi for everything that he's done for our community. He, Deborah, his entire family were a tremendous asset to us and really elevated the Jacksonville Jewish community. So before I turn it over to Rabbi, I want you to know that his legacy will continue. Just because he may be in a different place, we're going to continue our Lunch and Learns. We're very happy to have Rabbi Orr here to see how it's done. He's got some starting back up again on September 15th for our first one. That will be back here in our office. And also want to invite all of you, if you haven't signed up already, we do have a celebration of the entire Feigenbaum family on the 24th, Sunday night at Eitz Chaim. Today is technically the last day to register. Please, if you haven't already, do that. And we would love to see everyone there so we can truly pay tribute to the wonderful contributions that they've made to Jacksonville. So, thank you so much for everything, Rabbi, and please take it away.
Look who we're invited to come. So actually, it was perfect timing because that phone call was initiated by actually David, who I asked David to introduce me to some nice guy in downtown, right, who might be a sucker and actually listen to me.
I mean, initially I couldn't think of anybody, but
and then he said, "Oh, I know this guy Ken Jacob, he's a nice guy. Why don't you call him?" So I want to thank David for introducing me and for everything that he's done. But really, right now, let's just food in this.
good. I'm gonna sit down. Okay, I'm waiting for
But really, I wanted to, thank Ken because it's a partnership. And Ken was the first one to start the Lunch and Learns, and it's so fitting that we're doing my last Lunch and Learn, as Ken mentioned, we'll be taking over the Lunch and Learns. But my last Lunch and Learn here in Ken's office. And really, Ken got a lot of people to, okay, David, you're going to have to come over. David. No, not the other way. Everybody online is very excited to hear that. There you go. Perfect. That's my hair. Right? So, no, but Ken really was very instrumental in reaching out to different people, to Sandy, to Beth Fleets over there from the beginning, and many others Originally he reached out to Mike Abel, right, who was in the picture, if you notice, in the first lunch and learn that's still here in town. Really, I have no words to thank Ken for, as a partnership, making this a tremendous success. So big round of applause to Ken. A big round of applause to all of you. And as I mentioned in the sponsorship, it's really all of you that make this happen. It is a famous saying, there's ein melech below am, there's no king without a nation, right? You could be the king of your own castle, but if you don't have anybody to be a king over, right, or a leader over, or a teacher over, right, you can just talk and talk and talk, but there's no one to listen, right? But it's really all of you that made it and gave me this opportunity to teach. Some people might call it preach, right? But to have those one-on-ones, to really be part of your lives in one way or another, and in that way also helping me grow and helping me be part of your lives. So I want to thank all of you and all those that are online and all those that couldn't be here today. It really is very meaningful to me and my wife, and especially with the lunch learns for me, for all of you to come out today and for being part of this for so many years. So big thank you to all of you. Why don't you guys give yourselves a round of applause? Okay, so let's get cracking. Okay, let's get cracking. So imagine you're an undercover agent sent into Iran, right? You've had years of training. Have you have contacts in Tehran, right? You have the equipment, the newest high gadgets. I don't know, a watch that turns into a plane. I don't know what. Right? All the new high gadgets, right? The only thing is, right? You have no idea what your mission is. Right? You have no idea what your mission is. My friends, many of us go through life like that. Right? We follow, right, the road of life, our society, going to college, finding a job, getting married, raising our family, right, making sure we have our, country club or our, whatever it is, right, in life. Our kids have the same thing, our cars, and all those things, right? But we're not clear. We don't have a sense of what our mission is, our unique mission in life. And we are pulled in many different directions, feeling compressed in what we do and guilty for what we don't do. So what I want to talk about today, right, because I think it's a feeling, I know myself, I've been in this feeling, and every once in a while I stop and reflect, and I have a similar feeling. Where am I heading? What am I doing? Right? What's my unique mission in life? And I think it's something that many of us, right, have that feeling, and that's what I want to talk about today. How do we connect? How are we able to, what is the formula that we're able to find and to make sure that we are moving in the right direction? And it's not something that is magical. It's something that we work on. To do good things, Paul Brownlee said, to do good things in the world, first you must know who you are and what gives meaning to your life. Right? You have to know who you are. You have to know what gives meaning to your life. So what I want to start off, I don't know if you have a pen. I meant to ask Ken to put out pens on the table, but you can do it mentally, right? Or if you want to write it down, or when you get home, go ahead and write this down. But let's just go through a couple of questions and think about these questions for a couple of minutes. Let's see what our answers are now, and then let's see if any of those have changed a little later at the end of the class. All right, we'll do a little different. We usually do it a little more interactive. It's my last one, right? Then yours will. So let's go like this. First question. If you had all the money in the world, right? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? Think about it for a minute, okay? I'll give you a minute to think about it. If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? Gary, you have an answer for us?
He's got all the money.
How are you spending your time? Is the question. That's another question. When you're retired before the age of 90, right? How do you?
70.
So you're 70, right?
Your question is.
If you had all the money in the world, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, right? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? That's question number one. Something to think about. And how would you spend your time if you had all the money in the world?
Helping others.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah, philanthropy.
Philanthropy. Okay, Torah study. Okay, we got some ambitious people. I don't have to do this class anymore. We got good things going on. right? Okay, let's do the next question. And be honest with yourselves, okay? So let's just keep it to ourselves. Be honest with yourself. You're your own judge of your own time, right? Let's really reflect on this. All right, what would you prefer? What would your perfect day look like? Describe it in detail. Good things to think about. And what would your perfect day look like? Next question. What activity set your soul on fire? And really the next question is the same. What do you do? What do you love to do? What do you love to do? What activity set your soul on fire? What do you love to do? These are questions that we should think about at least once a week, right? Once a month, right? And hopefully at the end of the class, maybe some of your answers are Torah study. I don't want to change that, right? But philosophy, I don't want to change that. But maybe some of those answers, hopefully at the end of the class, we'll be able to look at these answers in a little different way, right? With a little deeper insight to really reflect and realize, who am I? What's my unique mission? Right? But let's get cracking for a minute. Okay, let's take a look at this. Do we have a unique mission in life? Do we? Or are we just another number coming off, assembly belt, and the godly assembly belt? And if you don't believe in God, I don't know why you're in this class. We'll have another conversation over coffee. Right? Be happy to talk to you over coffee about God. Right? But right now, we're gonna just make that assumption that we believe in God. How that relationship is, each one of us on a different level. Right? But we believe in God. So are we just another, number, another thing coming off this assembly belt? Or do we have something unique within ourselves? Says the Arizal, the great Kabbalist, the Arizal, he says something very powerful. The Arizal says, right, no one has ever or will ever come into the world with the exact same mission as yours. No one has or will ever come into this world with the exact same mission as yours. Right? The light you are meant to shine in this world is yours alone. That's like everybody has same fingerprints, right? You have a personal voice print, right? Now you could open up things with your voice, retina scan, right? You have your own retina, right? So too, each individual, right, has their own mission. We all have our own mission. First and foremost, when I remember hearing this, I knew this growing up, right? Okay, I grew up in the religion. Right, I grew up in Toronto. I went to Yeseda HaTorah. Right, sounds very religious, doesn't it? It is, right? We had Judaic studies until 2:30 in the afternoon. Right, starting with services from 5th grade and up. Services started at 7:30 in the morning, and we had Judaic studies until 2:30 in the afternoon. Then we had secular studies until 4:20 in the afternoon. Right, if you notice the ratio is not exactly the same, right? Thank God I know how to, 1 + 1 is 2, right? And then I went to high school, also very religious school. But as I knew this idea, of course I knew this idea. It was in my head. You all have unique mission. But I read it from the Arizal, right? And I started digging into it as I became more mature in my thinking, and I was starting to do my own learning, right, in yeshiva and growing, right? Within myself and with my eventually my family and schooling, right? And I bumped into this Arizal. It really impacted me tremendously. Because we have to, first and foremost, right? We have to realize that we're just not another number, just not another face, right? There's, I don't know, like 6 billion people in the world now. I don't know, something like that. Right, 5 billion, 6 billion. I don't know. It's probably half of them are in China and Asia, right? But we're just another face. Now I was traveling I went to New York, New Jersey, actually, this past Monday morning. Came back Wednesday morning. Went for a conference. It's a great conference, and I was in JFK. Flew to JFK. It's the cheapest to drive in New Jersey. And you might not find it so much in our beautiful, small, little, huge airport, right? But in JFK, it's a much larger airport, right? Many terminals, right? And people are just walking around. People and then people are running, and You just stop for a second, sit on the side, right? If I had a couple of minutes, before my flight, I was sitting and drinking my coffee. My flight was at 7:30 in the morning, right? I had to drop the car off, so I got there early. And I was just watching, it's like there's tons of people just going, just another face, another person, right? No, but each one of them has their own unique mission. Each one of them has their own unique life. And each one of us, we all have our own unique mission. That's what that Rizal is saying. And we're going to prove it from the Torah in a minute. The Rizal is saying that we are not just another person. Right? Okay, so if you're like, I don't know, one of the top 10 people, richest people in the United States, you're not just another person, right? If you're in your community, you're a president of this, okay, you have a certain uniqueness to yourself, right? But all of us, sometimes when we're just amongst other people, or just, at a ball game, or in the airport, or just wherever it is that we may be, right? We sometimes just feel like we're just like another person. And we're not. Right? We're not, right? And especially in our mission in life, which is the most important, right? Especially in our mission in life, which is the most important thing that we have to remember. We're not just another person. The commentaries tell us something very powerful. By the splitting of the Red Sea, right? There was about 3 million people that went through the splitting of the Red Sea, because it says there's 600,000 men between the age of 20 and 40, right? 60, sorry. So if you make the numbers, roughly 3 million people, probably a little more, going through the Red Sea. And what is the Torah saying? We read this every day in the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, right? We say, Zeh Kelim V'Aveyu, right? All the Jewish people had this phenomenal inspiration, right? And it said, Zeh Kelim V'Aveyu, this is our God, and we will glorify him. We'll glorify God. Commentaries ask, if we're talking about over 3 million people seeing this, what is the proper grammatical way of saying it? Us, our God, right? What does it say? Zekeli, my God, singular. Then it says Zekilenu, our God, inclusive. But it says Keli, my God, singular. It says the commentaries that each one of the Jewish people, all 3 million people, or more than that, right, realize that even though they're having a similar experience, even though they're together in this experience of seeing God on this high level of inspiration, but each one of them has a unique relationship with that experience. Therefore, they said it in a singular tense. My God. Because we all have our own unique mission. We have a collective mission. Within that collective mission, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. In that collective mission, each one of us has our unique mission. And we matter. We make a difference. And if we don't do our mission properly, it matters in the world. It matters in the framework of the spiritual world and the physical world too. We all have to realize what our responsibilities are. It's the Torah tells us for this. So, but we have a lot of things pulling us in many different ways, right? As James Clear said in his book, behavioral psychologist said, researchers have discovered, and I don't need researchers to tell me with the Pirkei Avos ethics of Father tells us this, but it's nice to see that the secular world finally has caught up to ethics of our Father, which was written 2,000 years ago, right? 2,500 years ago. But okay, researchers have discovered, right, a variety of ways that buildings we live, work, and play in, right, drive our behavior and our action. And I lived in New York City for 2.5 years, and as a single guy. The only time to live in New York City. You're married with kids, don't live in New York City, right? But I lived in New York City, in Brooklyn, right? And I was in yeshiva there. And you could definitely see, right, that the tall buildings all around you, right? People hanging out of their windows like this in the summer because they have no air conditioning. It's like screaming at the other person next to their window like that. Have you ever experienced that? Right? And just the whole environment, right, affects how you behave. It affects how you behave. You come to Jacksonville, right? If you are sitting at the red light and when it turns green for like, a minute, right? No one's gonna honk. I mean, unless the person's from New York, right? But it's like if you get harmed, right? It's like, well, what are you doing? Like, I'm moving. Relax, right? Just chill, right? We're laid back over here, right? We're part of the South, right? The environment affects us. The people we hang out with affect us. That's ethics of our Father said. Make sure you have a good friend, right? Shachanto, make sure you have a good neighbor, right? These are important things because we are affected by our surroundings. So we are affected by our surroundings. So that affects us too. And the society that we live in, and it's just showing where our struggles are coming from. And in a minute, we'll start talking about how we could connect to our unique mission. But we are connected on our society. You're just another like on Facebook. I know you can all like my jokes. I like doing so well, right? But right, you're just another like on Facebook. It's just another thing, right? Oh, this is influencers. They have like 1 million people following them, so now they're an influencer, right? And that's great. But we've created a society where the majority of people feel they're just another person, just another. We don't have a uniqueness to us, right? We're just plain. We're trying to be like someone else that they're unique. We don't realize within ourselves we have our own tremendous abilities and uniqueness. We don't have to be an influencer. We don't have to have, 3,000 followers on Facebook and Twitter. Almost 5,000, right? Right? But we don't need to have that. We have our own, but that is a society that we live in. Society that we live in very much groups people together, right? In race, we group people together. In social standings, we group people together. Right? There's constant, many things that we group people together. What level of education they got, where they come from. We group people together, and we have to realize that that's not true. Right? We have our ability to grow and become our own person. And how do we do that? What's the first step to do that? So let's talk about first step number one. All right, so it's not in your source sheets. Right? I don't have enough room. I don't want to go more than one page. If you want the source, I will be happy to send it to you. Right? The Torah in the beginning of Genesis. When we start off Genesis, at the end of the 6 days, so God created the world in 6 days. Right? A whole discussion, another whole topic about that. Right? A very interesting learning, a very interesting topic to delve into. But it says that God saw that everything and He completed His work. Right? God completed the work. And then afterwards it says, right? God said that everything was good, right? And He rested. He absted. He rested. Yana, and He rested. So what happened? Did God complete? Or did He just rest? And you can say, well, it really is the same thing. No. If we really start digging into the actual words of the thing, they're two separate things. Right? If I say, I tell my wife, she asked me to, okay, we're in the moving stage right now. So she asked me to, box all my Sfarim, all my Jewish books. And I say, okay, yeah, I completed it. Well, I fixed it like 3 shelves, right? So I didn't really complete it. I'm taking a rest. I'm taking a rest. I'll finish it, I promise, right? Before the movers come, right? But, I'm taking a rest right now. I didn't complete it, but I'm resting. And so it's actually two separate meanings. Right? Finishing something means to say it's complete. There's nothing more to do. Right? Resting means to say that there is still more to do. Maybe I'm satisfied with the amount that I've done now. Right? It is usable. Right? You could go ahead and put the baby in the crib. Yeah, maybe. Right? No, but it is usable. Right? But there might be more to do. Right? You have to put the thingy up top that twirls around that makes the kid fall asleep because it changed. Right, or whatever it is, but it is usable. So what is it? Did God complete the task, the creation of the world, or did God rest and not complete? It says in commentaries that it's really both. Right? It's really both. What does that mean? It means to say like this: that when God created the world, He completed what He wanted to do in the world. It means to say the structure of the world. The essence of the physical world, but implementing things into the world, right? Utilizing the things and be able to take that next step, then He left it up to us. For example, right? It says, nothing new under the sun. We'll just talk in a in a more materialistic way in a sense. In Chadashta, King Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. Last I checked, right, Adam and Eve and Moshe and, did not have, cell phone towers out there, right? They didn't have Wi-Fi, they didn't have automobiles, right? They didn't have any of this stuff, right? Even a telescope, right? They didn't have it. So what do you do? There was nothing new that was created, right? It was created. Imagine if Moshe, my father always jokes, that if at the time of the splitting of the sea and the 10 plagues, there would have been instant messaging and phones with the videos, no one would have been paying attention to the miracles. I would have made sure that we got a selfie. But Godspeed on Mount Zion, I'm not having a selfie, right? But okay, the jokes aside, it's probably true. But these technologies were not created. So what does it mean there's nothing new under the sun? So the commentaries explain, the Kuzari, right, phenomenal work by Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, right, explains, and many commentators expand on this, that God created all the raw material for it. It was someone. They're working on different ways. The ways were there. Humanity, right, with the knowledge accumulated over time, right, and doing different tests and different experiments, right, we're able to tap into these existing things that were out there and now expand on it and put together a phone and put together batteries and put together combustions and all that kind of stuff, right? Because it was really all there. Everything was there, but God wants us to find it and to utilize it and to expand on it. And that's what it means that God completed the world. He completed all that is necessary in the world, but he rested. He lets man realize that man, has to go ahead and take the world and expand on the world. And of course, the same thing in the spiritual realm, right? God gives us all the material, right? Spiritually, we have the Torah he gave us, right? We have rabbis, and we have Rebbeitzins that we could talk to. We have online courses that we can listen to and read, right? We have tons of the mitzvot that God gave us. The question is, are we willing to tap into those and see how they connect with me and how I can connect with them and utilize it and create it? So it reminds me, it's actually in any of my sources, but it reminds me, famous story of Rabbi Kiva, the great Rabbi Kiva, right? He lived during the end of right after the destruction of the Second Temple. He lived during the destruction of the Second Temple. One of the Roman generals, right, came over to ask him, he said, what's greater, the work of man or the work of God? What would you ask? What's greater, the work of man or the work of God? So, God, right? And he wanted to answer that. Rabbi Kiva was a wise man. He knew exactly what he wanted because all they did understand. He wanted to say, well, the work of God is greater. So why do circumcision? God created man, right, with the foreskin. Why do you do circumcision? Rabbi Kiva understood exactly where he was going. Rabbi Kiva said, what do you mean? Of course the work of man is greater than the work of God. What? The work of man is greater than the work of God? He said, yeah, well, let's stop for a second. What do you like better? Right? Do you like kernels of grain? Right? Or do you like a good bread, good cake? Oh, I don't even eat kernels of grain. I eat the cake. Right? Well, the kernels of grain is the work of God. The bread is the work of man. What's the lesson? The exact same thing. God wants us to develop the world. God wants us to take material that he put in there and create it better because that's part of our mission. And he gave us the wherewithal to do it. And it's the same thing. That's the depth behind Brit Milah, is to remind us that we are not perfect the way we're created. I heard once line, we are perfectly not perfect. Right? We are perfectly not perfect. Or perfectly not, or incomplete, something like that, right? Because God wants us to realize that we have to tap into what our uniqueness is, what our abilities are to go ahead and to make this world perfect and to make us perfect. And that's why God did not complete the world. And that the commentary says when God introduced himself to Abraham for the first time, he called himself Tel Shaddai. Right? God is Shaddai. The commentary says Shaddai means to say it represents the concept of it's not enough. Right? Tel Shaddai, it's not enough. The world is not enough the way it is. God purposely did it that way. We have to go ahead and we have to find our abilities and our strength to be able to make the world better. And each one of us has that mission. But all society, my friends telling me we have to go to a party, it's serving non-kosher, it's serving pork, or whatever level we're holding on, something that we're working on taking that next step. Right? It's on Yom Kippur, and I'm still keeping Yom Kippur, thank God. All right, whatever it is, right? And each one of us on our level, we have to thank God. And this is what I love about this community. We have people on all levels in this room together, realizing that we all have the same mission of taking one notch higher from wherever we're holding. But the society, our friends, right, our neighbors, we have to get the latest thing. We have to go on some trip, but I really want to donate money to the synagogue, to the teachers. Times are tough, but they're all going on this trip. Society, and as we said, we are influenced by our society. Says the Bereshit Rabbah, and Rashi quotes it, unbelievable. What was Abraham known as? What are we known as? Ivri, Avram HaIvri, Avram the Hebrew, right? But Rashi says something else. Ivri comes from Eber Hanar, from the other side of the river. But God, in his ultimate wisdom, when he composed the Torah, right? What's unique about Abraham and the Jewish people throughout history are known as the Hebrews, right? From our forefather Abraham. Oh, from the other side of the river. Thanks. That's our claim to fame, from the other side of the river. Like, what's so unique about it? Why is that so special? So Rashi says, he quotes from Yehuda, what does it mean from the other side of the river? The other side of the river means to say that a river is a current, right? It's a current, it flows. There's different levels of currents, right? You have a very little stream that did nothing, right? And you have bigger ones. I remember going in camp, we went water rafting. Now I don't remember what river, somewhere in Quebec, right? I'm from Canada, whatever, it's not my fault, right? But somewhere in Quebec, we went water rafting. And over there, that was like, you can't just walk across the river if you want. You get swept away, right? I was showing my kids the other day, maybe like a month ago, right? Niagara Falls, right? There was this whole thing of, different people that got swept in. And so there's this little clip and it's talking all about it. And you can see the river going until it falls, right? But it's like this crazy, right? Current is very strong. Where a lake, it's usually still, right? Lake is usually still, but it's still water. Right? But a river, it's a current. So there's a commentary, says the Bereshit Rabbah, and Rashi quotes it. What does it mean? Right? What does it mean, the other side of the river? Right? That was the strength of Abraham, and this is the strength of the Jewish people. What did Abraham, our forefather, Avraham Avinu, do? He did not allow the current of life. He did not allow the pressure of his family, the pressure of his society, dictate what his unique mission was. Dictate what he would himself or his family feel what's important, what's not important. Where to spend his resources, where to spend his time, where to spend his mental capacity. Avram Avinu walked over the river. He did not allow the current of life, the pressures of our society to mold him. But on the contrary, he used society, he used life, and he molded it. No, Abraham was the first person to go out and do outreach into the community. Right? First one, right? He had a yeshiva, he had a study home. He went ahead and he said, no, I'm not going to allow you to dictate what my mission in life is, but I'm on the contrary, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to teach you, to allow you, to inform you, not, God forbid, dictate, but to inform you and allow you to make your own decision. Information is the key to wisdom. If you don't have it, you don't know what you could or you can't do. as I've always told people, and a lot of you in the room, I think the first time that I might have met with you, right? I know for sure when I met with different institutions in town, River Garden, JCA, Federation, JFCS, which all hold a great place in my heart, and I'm very grateful to all the collaborations we've done throughout these years. But when I came, I said, I'm only here to spread Jewish awareness, Jewish education. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. Because it's your decision. But you have to have information. You have to have knowledge to be able to make a decision. If you only know one thing your whole life, of course you're going to do that because you don't know anything else. So all I ever want is just to spread Jewish awareness and Jewish education. And I'm hoping, of course, I'm hoping that you make a decision of growth. Of course I am. But it's your decision. And I would never look down or differently at you based on what decision you have. I might say, once I've had a relationship with you, and some of you might have heard that from me, right? But it's your decision. So now, let's stop for a second and let's think about three more things. Okay, three more things to reflect on. Now that we have a little more information, I want to think about three more things. And we've spoken about this in Rosh Hashanah many times, but I think it's apropos now for this class also. So on Rosh Hashanah, we know the Talmud tells us we're like B'nai Maron. I apologize, I'm going to try to keep it to one, but we started a little late, but I'm going to try to keep it to one. All right, we would judge like B'nai Maron. Right? What is B'nai Maron? Rashi says three things what it means B'nai Maron. What a person has to reflect on during Judgment Day. And really every day or once a week should be your own personal Judgment Day. Like sheep, right? What level are you on? What do you mean like sheep? B'nai Maron like sheep, right? The rancher, right, has each one going in by itself and he checks it. How's its legs? How is it fat? Right? How is it, whatever it is? How healthy is it? Right? So we keep it. Right? Is it is able to this and that? So we sell it, right? So we send it to the slaughter, right? The farmer has to go ahead and check the quality of his sheep. And so like the neighbor on, we have to, where are we holding? What level am I on? First and foremost, I have to know what am I doing and what am I not doing? Because if I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, I'm just whatever, which I've heard many times, and I tell that to myself sometimes. Right? I'm just whatever. I'm a good Jew. We're all good Jews. But what am I doing? What level am I on? You have to start and reflect. What am I doing? Am I going to minyan once a month? Am I going to minyan once a day? Right? Am I making a blessing on bread? Am I making a blessing on other food? Am I wearing my kippah when I go to synagogue? Am I wearing my kippah when I go to a Jewish event? Right? Am I wearing? What level kosher am I eating? Do I not mix milk and meat? Do I eat out? Wherever I'm holding, we have to know where we're holding in life. Be able to expand. Number two, like a climber, right? What level are you on via where you were? Are you improving or not? So number one, you have to know where you are. Then stop and reflect. And I've told many of you this before. We have to reflect back. Where was I a year ago? Where was I 3 years ago? Am I climbing? Am I growing? And am I taking that next step? Because you can have someone that, as I said, I grew up very religious, right? But maybe has not grown from where they are. They might be doing the same thing. They're doing a lot of things. Right? Someone's giving a lot of charity, but they haven't grown from where they've given in the past years. Whatever it is, if it's prayer, if it's charity, if it's kosher, whatever, Shabbat, whatever it is, are we climbing? Are we growing? Like a soldier, are you developing your unique capability and talents? Or are you ignoring them? Right? In the army, right? It's the armed forces. I've gotten into trouble many times, especially in a Navy town, right? By just saying the army or this or that. So in the armed forces, right? Right? But in the armed forces, right? When you go to training and after they try to see what talents you have, what are you good for? Are you intelligence? Are you in this and that? Everybody has their own weakness. Are you developing your unique talents, whatever that means? If it's finance, it's great. You help in the synagogues and organizations, and they're fine. You have a beautiful voice. Are you helping in the prayer service? Right? Whatever it is, and it could be just developing your small little talent. If you're organized, right? If you're good with certain things, are you using your unique talents? for the betterment of yourself and your community. That's something we have to stop and reflect on every once in a while, right? As we realize we all have our unique capabilities, our unique mission. And one of the ways to do this, right, is to dig deep inside. The tribe of Yehuda, who the kings have come from, King David, Solomon, and all the kings have come from the tribe of Yehuda. When Jacob was giving him the blessing, right, he compared him to a wine orchard, to grapes and to wine. Come to say, why was he moved to wine? So as we all are aware, I'm sure once in our lives, we might have had this, right? Maybe not just this past Shabbos, right? After you have a couple of cups of wine, right, we become a little more loose. Right? No one had that experience yet, right? Never. I have to say never. I know Rachel definitely not, right? Like that, maybe, huh? Right? We love Rachel.
No wine.
Right? We love Rachel. That's why I picked on Rachel. Right? But we, some of our, if we drink a little too much, some of our secrets might have, and then after the next day, oops, did I say anything? Right? Oh no, I didn't mean to, did I? Right? Some of our innards, our true nature comes out many times. Remember when I was in yeshiva, right? So one Purim, right? Purim is the holiday of drinking. For another time, we spoke about it in the past, right? Why on Purim we drink, right? And of course, it should be responsibly, and if one should not drink it, it's not healthy for them, or they are not responsible. Right? But that's for another time. Right? But I remember one Purim, and I remember seeing two different guys, right, who were throughout the year, they're good guys or whatever, but I remember seeing two different guys act totally different. One guy, all of a sudden, became this really loud, outgoing, right? He was like spewing words of Torah. It was like beautiful. It was like, wow, what happened? Right? And this other guy became like really mean in the corner. It's like, I need to cry, like really almost like started crying, right? And it's just, you see, that's really their essence. They're putting on a front, which we have to, of course, sometimes, right? But their essence of who truly they were, right, came out with the wine. And says the commentary that King David, Yaakov is telling David, right, Yehuda, which all the kings come from, that a leader has to be transparent. A leader has to tap inside of themselves and figure out what their true talent. To be a true leader, you have to be yourself. You can't be fake, right? And as we know, the numerical value of Yayin, and this is for David, he likes numerical value, right? The numerical values of Yayin, right, Yud Nun, right, which is 70, right, is the same numerical value of Sod, which means the hidden, right? Samach Vav Dalet, Samach is 60, Vav is 6, Dalet is 4, 70. So Yayin brings out the Sod. Yayin brings out the true nature of the person, right? What's the point we're trying to bring out of here? Is that we have to dig inside. Don't let the wine do it, right? But do it yourself, right? Dig inside and find your true nature of who you are, right? Your talents, your true will. So many of us want to get closer to God. So many of us want to do the right thing. We have so many things pulling us this way, that way, right? Society, family, this and that, right? We've done things in a certain way. It's too hard to change. No. Find your inner self. Find your true nature, your talents, your abilities, and be like a leader. Yaakov, Jacob, our forefather, told Yehuda that you're going to have the things coming out of you. You have to connect to your true self. That's it. Another thing to reflect on and to utilize, right, to be able to bring this out within ourselves. How are we able to do this? Okay, it's good to think about it, but we need some tools. How are we able to do this? So I started with Kibbutz. It's part of a different thing, but I'm just going to borrow a couple of things that he says that I think fit very nicely for our discussion. He's speaking about the idea of doing commands. People have asked him, like, well, I'm not just going to be a follower, right? Just do what the Torah tells me to do. I just want to be spontaneous. I want to do Judaism my way, right? What makes me feel good. If it's, doing this now or doing that, or whatever it is. Having the Torah telling me what to do, that's very rigid, right? That's very confining. So he said something very powerful. He says,
that when you do spend, when you act spontaneously, right, your motives only, you're motivated only by what arises in yourself. You're experiencing yourself. That may be great. It can never be greater than you are at that time. When you are acting because you are commanded by the source, Hashem, God, again, I'm a believer in this room, right? By God, you believe the Torah is true. You know, that's fine, but I'm happy to have a conversation with you, right? And talk to you. You're entitled to your own opinion, but right now, this class is based off what we believe the Torah is true, right? So you're commanded by a source outside of yourself. You become the expression of the source, right? You become the expression of the source. Your actions is an expression of the command of the source, and you are an expression of the source itself. In fact, you and the source become one. Both are needed for the result of manifest. We both need. God has a source. But God, as we said, wants us to complete it. Right? He wants us to. But why? What's part of that reason? Because He's giving us the ability to be part of the source, part of this greatness, the spiritual realm that we can't comprehend, beyond our understanding. But we are able to do that when we make a blessing of our food, when we give tzedakah, when we go to synagogue, when we fast the whole fast on Yom Kippur, not stop at 5:50 because there is a break the fast party. But we actually fast until the end. Right? Whatever that may be, right? We are connected to the source, something that's greater than ourselves. And He continues, therefore, in order to fulfill a commandment, you must overcome, and this is really part of a longer paragraph, so flow doesn't really make sense, I just put it in there, and overcome the inner resistance, and in doing so, right, lies the secret of inner growth. Self-control is at the heart of all personal growth. When you decide to be part of this greater source, if you decide not just to what's on your whim, what you decide to do, but you're actually, I'm having self-control. I realize that I don't want to just lay back and relax. I don't want to wake up in the morning for service. It's just easier. I was in JFK, so thank God now JFK has kosher food. Yeah, it's like in a package, you know, and but they have that, right? But I've been in many airports, right? I didn't have any kosher. I was stuck in Milan, right? On my way to Israel once. There's a strike in Israel. I was stuck in Milan for 3 days, right? It would have been much easier just to go to a non-kosher restaurant, right? Okay, I'll have fish, right? I'll have vegetables, right? Again, I'm not judging anybody, I'm talking about myself. It would have been easier, but I know I'm connecting to something that's bigger and better than myself, right? I know I'm working on my self-control. That's true. That's the start of every personal growth, every greatness. It's taking control of yourself. Our rabbis teach us, right? We're almost finished, right? The rabbis teach us, right, that we have, as we mentioned, we have to find our own uniqueness, how we do things. Right? In Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of Our Father, it said, Rabbi Yochanan, right? Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, yes, told his students, right, 5 of his great students, go out into the world and see what is a great attribute. Right? And the Mishnah continues about these great attributes that they talked about and go through. But the commentary is the Maral, the great Maral of Prague, right, from the 15th century, 16th century, Maral of Prague says, and why does it say go out into the world? Right, say go out. Right? What's wrong with Beit Midrash? I mean, there's all these books. It's a place they study their whole lives, right? And just go to a corner and reflect and think about what's a great attribute. He said because he wanted each one of them to find their uniqueness. Sometimes you have to go out of your surroundings, right? To be able to find that. And go out into the world, go out and find your unique way of learning Torah, right? And the Netziv is famously quoted as saying, your answer should be that you must pursue the path, and it's part of the whole thing, but you must pursue the path that is in his heart or her heart, within the boundaries of the realm of the Torah and mitzvahs. Right? Of course, that's where we are part of a collective. We want to be part of it. But we have to find what is our specialty, what is our uniqueness. I had friends, I know some here in town who likes more Hasidic and Kabbalistic stuff, and we learned that. And other people like are more connected to Chesed and kindness and do a lot of volunteer. And other people do this and other people. What's in the confines of the Torah, we have to find our unique strength and our unique capabilities of how we do things, right? And what we do. And King David, right, when he went, before he even became king, right, when he went to fight Goliath, right? He went to fight Goliath, the giant, right? He didn't go and say, oh, Saul, I can do this. God will be with me. He gave him an introduction. He said, I was a shepherd, right? And I had to protect the sheep, and I fought lions, and I fought the bears. So I have this within me, and God will help me. Commentaries ask, well, why? Why did he have to give that whole introduction? Like, what, his resume? Right? Look how strong I am. I can lift 500 pounds, right? I could do this, right? They're all religious people there. God will help me, okay? Hashem Ya'azor, as they say in Hebrew, right? In Israel, Hashem Ya'azor, God will help. Why do you have to go through all that? And so my rabbi that I learned from in Israel, Reuben Lofter, right, said because King David was telling Shaul that I know what my strengths are. I've tapped in, I've seen this. I know I could overcome. I know I could stand up to challenges with the will of God, right? With God on my side. But I know that I've had these similar struggles, lions and the bears. Now we're going to deal with a higher one. And something that I could accomplish, something that I've done, and I could take that next step and accomplish even more. He said that's how we have to look into ourselves. And we have to realize that we have within us, and as we said, we have to look at our past. What have we done? What have we accomplished? We have to look at our talents, right? We have to look at what our strengths are. And we have to realize that we have our own mission in life. We're not just another number. We're just not another person, sure, another member, right? Another visitor, another this, another person on board. We all have our unique purpose in life. We have to connect with that. And it will end with something just to reflect, and I encourage all of you to do this yourself. Step one, draw a circle, label it. What am I able to do? Include all the things that makes you, you, right? Be a good listener, right? Or maybe the perfect whatever it is. Number two, draw a circle, right? And label it what I like to. Include all the things that you're drawn to, right? That you like doing, with regards to whether you're able to do them or not, right? Whatever it is, able to do it or not able to do it. And number three, draw a circle, label what my society, my commitment, my community, and God needs me to do, right? Included all things that are practical, consenting to where I want to be in life, right? What's important to me, right, in life. And when we do these three things and we see how they match up and how I'm able to take what I'm good at, what I love to do, and then what I want to be able to do, right? We'll be able to realize and reflect on, thank you, David, right? We'll be able to realize and reflect on and realize that we have it within ourselves. One of the biggest hinders of us growing is thinking that we cannot do it. One of the biggest things is we think we don't have the talent, we've never done it, it's too far-fetched for us, it's too far from us, right? As it says in the end of the Torah in Parshas Hatzinu, correct me if I'm wrong, it says, Lo be'ever hayam, it's not on the other side of the sea, Lo b'shamayim, it's not in the heavens. It's within us. It's within each one of us that we could accomplish it, we could do it. We just have to tap in within ourselves, ask ourselves the hard questions, right? Where are we holding right now? Right? Where are we holding back to where we were holding? What's our unique abilities? Right? How we accomplish this. So my blessing to everyone is that I just hope that I had a little influence in your lives, in the knowledge of your lives. Right? To give you resources, and I hope to continue that on some classes over Zoom. Right? Please check out my YouTube channel. Right? I'll be recording all my classes. Right? But to please, I hope I just had some influence to be able to give you food for thought, be able to make you realize that we all have a unique mission, right? And we all have the ability just to not take one notch up. And I promise you, if you look at your lives where you were a year ago, 2 years ago, you realize that you took many more than one notch. We just don't reflect on that. As I've said before, we call it the Bubby syndrome, right? When you go to your grandparents and say, oh, look how tall you've grown, right? Your parents never tell you that because you grow very slowly. You don't see the growth. But your grandparents or a friend, whatever, hasn't seen in a little while, and they see the difference. We have that same syndrome within ourselves. My blessing to all of us is that may we just continue going one notch higher, connecting with our Father in heaven, realizing that He loves us with all the challenges that we have, right? And just build our relationship with Him, each one with our unique talents, but within the confines of our community, the confines of the Torah, right? I mean, we all elevate and see the Mashiach coming speedily in our days. Thank you all for coming. Before we leave, all right, I just, oh, you got five.